What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back. We got more playoff basketball to talk. And I think last year we went under the moniker of Playoff Jimmy, or we went with that moniker. I think this year we have to remix it up a little bit and change it after last night's game and go with Playoff SPO. Last night, Miami goes into Boston. They tied the series 1-1. Complete team effort from top to bottom. They came out, they competed, and they were able to steal one in Boston. Now, I will say this. I know a lot of Boston Celtics fans, and y'all, in front of y'all mind, y'all are saying, it's okay. We still got this. We still the heavy favorites. They caught us slipping once. Okay, so what? Shout out to Drake. the Drake line, y'all probably popping off. But in the back of your mind, you got that PTSD where it's like, here we go again. Like, let's just take care of business. We don't want to extend this. We don't want to have to go through this again. Let's just, you know what I mean? But before we dive into last night's games, I do want to remind everybody, make sure you hit that like button for me. And if you're new and you enjoy this type of content, make sure you subscribe. I can't stress it enough. This is the place you want to be. Anyway, I was thoroughly impressed last night with Miami. This was a game that I will not lie. I will be completely transparent and completely honest with y'all in all of these videos that we get throughout the playoffs. This is a game that was on last night's slate that I was like, man, I thought that the OKC game was going to probably be this game. I thought Boston came out in game one, showed why they're the heavy favorite, swung first, really hit them hard, took advantage of the fact that they didn't have Jimmy Butler and kind of sent a message. So I thought game two, they would kind of replicate the same thing, take care of business early, really cement themselves 2-0. We're the best team. This is going to be a cakewalk. We're going to sweep and start to move on into who we're going to play in the next round. And it's not exactly what happened. Miami stayed in this game early. Boston had some parts where I was like, oh, they're separating a little bit. There were some times where my boy Nikola Jovic was turning that ball over. I think he had all five of his turnovers were in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. And there were some shots that was being made by Boston and some plays where I'm like, okay. And Miami, like I said, they started out the gate really hot from three, as we all know, which is kind of what won them the game. Or not even kind of. That's exactly what won them the game. But early on in that first quarter, I was like, okay, they're playing the part. And Boston outplayed them. Boston won the first half. I can't remember if it was by 5 or something like that. But ultimately, they won. I'm like, okay, Miami's hanging around. So then in that second half, I really started to get locked in. And I'll say this. This to me was probably, for me, just for me. I know there's Miami Heat fans who have probably seen every game of his career and probably feel different. That's fine. This is not for argument. This is just for me and my perspective. That was, and I went back and I rewatched this a couple of times. That was the best game I've seen from Tyler Herro in his entire career. And the reason it was because this is one of the first times where I really seen him against a high-level team as well. This is why it makes it even more impressive. Some of y'all would say, man, he did it in the play-in a little bit. But because it's the Boston Celtics on the road after the first game he had, he really, to me, controlled the game like a point guard. We know how good Tyler Herro is at scoring. Obviously, he can shoot the ball, the mid-range, off the dribble, the step back. All of that he's been doing and been showing since he got into the league, and even showed us a little bit of it in high school and at Kentucky. But to me, this was the first time where I've seen him put it all together with the scoring, the timely buckets. But most importantly, he played completely within the offense. He allowed the game to come to him. And there was only one shot, and I watched every shot multiple times. Every shot he took, I watched, makes and misses. And there was only one shot that I really looked at and considered that was a bad shot. He kind of forced that one, didn't really need that one. That one felt forced. It was a three-pointer in the second half. And I want to say it was kind of like, I don't want to call it transition, but it was still in the midst of transition. And he chucked one up from three. And I think Jaylen Brown was the one who contested him, and he missed. That was the only shot out of all the shots he took that I really remember thinking that's the only one that he kind of felt like forced. The rest of the game, from his shots to his passing to the pace to the way he was manipulating Boston, really allowed everybody else to kind of find their rhythm. And I think that's what makes the elite players so elite, when you have to have both of those responsibilities. When you look at the Lukas of the world, and I'm not here to compare Tyler Herro to Luka or anything like that, but you look at the guards in our league who balance scoring and setting everybody else up and weaponizing your teammates and figuring out how to do it throughout the course of a game and really controlling the game. So at certain times it's open for you to really cook. And I think last night was something that I hope Tyler Herro can continue to tap into for the rest of the playoffs, no matter the wins or losses. I'm not here to expect them or to make the expectation for them to beat the Boston Celtics or make this like 7-game series or anything. But I think it's something he can build on as an individual, whether he's going to be with the Heat or not for the rest of his career. This can be something that can open up Tyler Herro to be a completely different player. But being able to balance the responsibilities of scoring and setting everybody else up and figuring out how to set people up for it to be able to open up things for you in the long run. That's why sometimes young players, I never really understand why it's so hard for them to grasp. When you start to play with your teammates and trust your teammates, it indirectly, well, not even indirectly, it directly affects you. So if you are a person who wants to score, I never understood the ball hog mentality in this perimeter-centric standpoint when you're like a point guard who also is a scorer. Because once you allow your teammates to make shots and get a rhythm, and once you show the opposing team that you're not only willing to give the ball up to your teammates, but you trust them and you're willing to give it up quickly, it's a big difference. There's a lot of people in the game or at different levels who they stockpile assist numbers, but there's a big difference in a person who is a passer and is trusting somebody versus somebody who's passing when they absolutely have to. It's a very, very, very big difference. And a lot of these passes I've seen from Tyler Herro, even when they didn't lead to assists, was him just moving the ball. I'm not even thinking about it. They're gapping up or they're showing too much on me. I'm just swinging it to Hayward Highsmith. I'm not even sure if I'm going to get an assist. It's not even for him to score. But a lot of times in the NBA, you'll start to see little pieces of the heliocentric offenses and things like that where you got a guy just pounding the ball, trying to figure out if he can get a shot. And then at the last second, it ain't nothing there, and he just kick it. Or he only passing it if he can make the defense collapse and get a kick out for some type of scoring opportunity. But I think it's just as effective as a guard or a lead guard with a scorer mentality in a scorer's game to be able to show I'll just move it. The ball going to come right back to me. There's nobody on Miami that's going to hinder Tyler Herro from getting the basketball. So he should always bring that ball up, getting them into their sets, and be willing to move it because it's always going to find its way back to him. They don't have that many creators who can create something out of nothing, who can create something at the end of the shot clock. So by default, it's always going to work its way back. And that was just one of the most impressive things for me, watching the pick and roll, watching him manipulate the pick and roll coming off, and he took those shots early. He came off. Porzingis and Al Horford didn't really want to meet him at the three-point line, especially Porzingis. Porzingis just had a really, really tough game, and I think defensively he wasn't god-awful. But for some of the shots that Tyler Herro hit early on, I was watching in the second half for different parts of the game, and I'm like, yo, at some point, Porzingis, you got to step up a little bit, brother. You got to take one more step up. Like, how long are you going to just allow him to just shoot in your face and just do the little, I don't even know what that is. I don't want to call it drop coverage, but I guess technically he's dropping. He's just not dropping super far back, but he's also not meeting him. It's one of the most frustrating things for me when I see people defending, even if it's not like in the NBA. Sometimes you'll go to the gym, you'll go to a high school basketball game, or you'll just be watching something. Hell, even on 2K, there was a thing where I'm like, you're kind of in no man's land. You're in help. Technically, I guess it's supposed to be help, but you're not helping, and you're also not guarding your man. So, like, what are you doing? Like, you're just in this dead space of just like, it just blows my mind. And I think Tyler Herro did a really good job of attacking that. He was aggressive. He made shots. He missed a few, but the aggression and the responsibility of knowing that's my job, making or missing, I have to take these shots. I think it puts a certain amount of pressure on the defense. And then you match that with the willingness to give up the basketball early, often, whether you're getting an assist or not. You're just moving the ball, operating. And one thing that I love about Miami, and extremely Eric Spoelstra specifically, that I wish I've seen a lot more, especially when you think about how the Suns have been playing. You know what I mean? Even the Clippers, in the loss they had to the Mavericks, they had like a 5-minute scoring drought. You see in the playoffs, a lot of these high-powered offensive teams or teams that have at least somebody that you think can always go get them a bucket. There has been teams that's having these long scoring droughts. 4 minutes without a bucket, 5 minutes without a bucket, 6 minutes without a bucket. And you're just like, dang, you went 5 minutes without a basket? 5 minutes without a made field goal? Really? And then you see some of the plays that Miami run, And they're really good drawn up plays. And I think Tyler, that's what I'm getting back to. Tyler Herro playing within the offense. There was a play specifically in that first half where Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez is bringing it up. It's one of the early possessions. And Tyler Herro, because I'm watching everything, he is telling. He's being a guard. He doesn't even have the basketball. He's on the wing / corner, the left side, and he's telling Jaime Jaquez. You can see him in the broadcast. He's telling him, give that ball up right there. I can see the play. I can see how I want to run this. Give him that ball. Give him right there. He's coming up, and Nikola Jovic is trailing. And so Jaime Jaquez looking at Tyler Herro. Oh, he's like, okay, he brings it out, throws it to Jovic. Jovic does like a handoff with Tyler Herro. Tyler Herro throws it back to somebody else. And he's able to come off and get a 3-point. They just ran a nice little play. There was another play where there was like a down screen and it got to Jovic, excuse me. And then Tyler Herro comes off this brush screen with Bam Adebayo and allows him to wrap back up for 3. And that was just like a perfect play. And it's not always these long, drawn-out plays where SPO is trying to be like the greatest, orchestrator ever. But it's just like subtle things that's like, hey, Tyler Herro is our best scorer right now. He's our best all-around scorer that we have. We have to get him going, but within the flow of the offense, instead of just having him isolate and constantly doing pick and rolls, which defenses are going to key in on and understand the pattern and the rhythm. And there's only so much you can take out of that. But when you have so much action, you have so much movement, it just allows your best players and your best offensive players to have some easier looks. It's extremely taxing and it's extremely difficult for somebody to constantly have to work and create their own shot over the course of a 48-minute game, especially when you're going against a team like the Boston Celtics who have a Jaylen Brown, have a Drew Holiday, a Derek White, a Jason Tatum. You don't want to have that responsibility of going out there and having to create your own shot for 48 minutes. So I love that with SPO. But yeah, I just have to get a quick little tangent and I guess rant in a positive light about Tyler Herro. This is just like a magnificent game. He only had 3 turnovers. 2 of them didn't really matter. One of them he threw away, and then Duncan Robinson got the steal right back, so he kind of negated that turnover. Another one, he tried to put Porzingis in jail, and Porzingis tripped over him, and they called it a charge. That's technically a turnover. And then the other one, I think he threw it away or something like that, or somebody stole it, back tapped from him. And that was the only real one turnover he had that I really count against him. Other than that, like I said, he came off the screen really aggressive. Late down the stretch to really close out the game. I love the 2-man game between him and Bam and how he was able to get Bam those pocket passes. And shout out to Bam, who really stepped up and was able to catch those looking to score. And he had the mid-range shot. He had the little float over Jason Tatum that he made. Super impressed. They had the alley-oop, again, another play on that Bam alley-oop where I was just kind of like, I don't understand what Porzingis is doing. For him to be 7'3" with the wingspan that he has, I just don't see how a alley-oop to Bam can really... you should be getting that. You should be deflecting that or something. And in the play, he didn't even really try. It just kind of caught him off guard. Now, I'm not sure if it was because he was missing shots, if he just wasn't engaged because of that. I don't know. But I feel like the Boston Celtics as a complete team had a lot of that. They're usually a lot more sharper. They're usually a lot more on point. And this was a game where you see a lot of miscommunication. You saw a lot of plays where a lot of guys didn't know if they were going to switch, didn't know if they was going to stay. You've seen some plays where like it seemed like they were switching except the bigs. So everybody else switched, but Porzingis is not involved in the switching. Everybody else switched, but Al Horford isn't involved in the switching. And you saw some plays where some guys didn't really understand that concept, especially with Al Horford. So I remember a play with Al Horford and I think maybe Sam Hauser. That was Sam Hauser and Drew Holiday had a play late in the game where I think Tyler Herro was able to get loose and be able to create a shot for himself, because they switched. And you can see Drew Holiday's reaction is like, why are we switching, Sam? Like, we didn't have to switch that. And those are the communication issues that I'm just not used to seeing from a team like Boston. There were some possessions where early on where I saw Derek White have a miscommunication with somebody. I think it was him and Jaylen Brown. They both kind of went to Nikola Jovic and allowed Tyler Herro to have like this open walk-in 3. Very confusing. And then on the defensive side of the basketball for Miami, I think this is where they have a complete team effort. Caleb Martin stood out and really did a lot of different things. I think Jaime Jaquez on Drew Holiday, the first possession of the game, was able to contain him in the post. Nikola Jovic had some plays and some possessions where they were trying to give some entries into Kristaps Porzingis, and he swatted one away Tyler Herro was holding his own against Jaylen Brown in the post. Just an overall complete team effort. That was a play where Duncan Robinson switched onto Jaylen Brown, and I think he slapped the ball away, forced a turnover, if I'm not mistaken. And Caleb Martin came out and was really aggressive, and I think he made a lot of good plays. He did some extreme things in the gap, and that's my favorite type of defense. You know what I mean? Like, when we play in Pro-Am, we play in 2K, you play against me and my team. If I'm doing a P League or whatever, people will tell you I'm in a defensive orchestrator who loves gap, love aggressiveness, love sending blind double teams where you don't know where it's coming from, and having guys on my wing being able to guard two guys. You know what I mean? Having that responsibility of playing between two people while still playing in the gap, and we're just here. You know what I mean? So if we got somebody dangerous one-on-one and we got two guys on that strong side, I'm telling one of my guys to go help extremely on that drive on this one-on-one possession. And my other guy on the strong side, you just guard up those two spots. If they're that close, you can guard both of those. You know what I mean? Because it's very rare where a lot of teams are going to have the perfect ideal spacing. So I think the Miami Heat did a really good job of that with the gap defense and just being extremely, extremely aggressive. And Bam was all over the place, was able to allow them to really switch. And sometimes he had to guard a Jason Tatum or he had to guard a Jaylen Brown on certain possessions. And I just think they did a really good job. The down part about it for Boston, for me, outside of the stats and everything like that, because I got them all pulled up front of me, I could tell you what Tyler Herro had 24 and 14 on 53% shooting, 54% from three. I could tell you that Jaylen Brown shot 50% from the free throw line and had 3 turnovers, and so did Tatum. You know, we can go through all that. But the biggest thing for me with the Boston Celtics, and I said this before, I think on Numbers on the Board, the regular season, I think for teams and for players and for just organizations, you're showing everybody else who you are, right? It's you convincing people who you are. In the playoffs, early on, in these early series and moments, I personally think sometimes, not all the time, this is a time where you are showing yourself who you are. These are the early ones where you have to show yourself we are who we think we are. And then, of course, throughout the course of the playoffs and in the championship or the conference finals, you're back to showing, the rest of the league and the world who you are. You're proven to be, what you want everybody to think you are, which we're the champions, we're the best team in this conference, whatever. But I think the 82 game of the season is saying, hey, we're the number one seed. That put everybody else in the rest of the league on notice, right? And then you have a series like this out of the gate, which is why I thought it was very important for OKC and why I didn't really like their first game, even though they won it, was because you want to be able to establish within yourself, within your locker room, within your coaching staff, exactly who you are. So for Boston, I honestly don't think they're going to lose this series, right? They're still my favorite to win this series and to go far into the playoffs and potentially go to the NBA Finals and win it. They're still my favorite. This one game doesn't change that. But what I don't like about it as an analyst and as somebody who, I don't want to say that I'm rooting for the Celtics, but I damn sure don't like some of the talk that's around some of the players on the team. Like, I like Tatum. I don't understand the issue that all of these people who aren't Celtic fans have with Tatum. I saw something yesterday where somebody was like, what does Tatum do well? Like, I get he's a good player. I'm like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? But anyway, it's like proving to yourself. You go out, you dominate the entire league, all 82 game season. You're going against this team that you're familiar with. They don't have their best player, right? This is some type of rivalry. There ain't no real deep cut beef or anything like that, but this team is a team that knocked you out. They don't have their best player. So you want to crush them and you want to get your get back. You want to send a message, and you also want to prove to yourself we are head and shoulders above the rest of the league like we've been all year. We are the team that we think we are. We should sweep this team. We should dominate them damn sure at home. We're not going to play with our food at all. And we're going to allow ourselves to rest and prepare for our next opponent. That's the message that I want to see from them. That's the same way I felt against OKC. OKC is a little different because they're an extremely young team as a head coach and as the roster. They're extremely young. So I didn't like that first game where they made it close with the Pelicans and they had to go down to the stretch and you needed heroics from potential MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ultimately, you did win. But I felt like that was a great game or a great situation where if they came out and they had crushed them, it would have let them know we are who we think we are. But to OKC's defense, they came out and did that in game 2. They came out and did that in game 2. And I think it's going to be very important for Boston to then have another game like that. Don't make this a series where even if you beat them in 5, it looks like y'all barely beating them or y'all need some heroics from Jason Tatum. No, y'all should beat them the same way y'all beat them in game 1. Y'all should dominate them because they are AFC. They are missing their best player, and they're missing the guy that would be one of the top players if he was healthy, Terry Rozier, as far as a scorer. They're down a couple guys. And for you to not be able to exploit that and dominate that, because honestly, even if Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier were healthy, you still should be dominating this team. You still should. Maybe they make you work a little harder, but they shouldn't really give you that many fits. You're the best team in the NBA. If you're having a hard time with a healthy Heat team, it's going to get ugly for the rest of the playoffs. The Heat are where they are for a reason. Yeah, they dealt with some injuries, but they're just not a better team than you. And they had a really good run last year. But, that was a run. This year is a whole new year. Y'all got a whole new team. Y'all added 2 really good pieces in Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. I understand y'all maybe shouldn't be beating them by 30 points every game. And if they had Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier, I'm not saying y'all should be beating them by 25 every game. But I just don't think that y'all should have to really work too hard and be panicked by facing the Miami Heat. And for y'all to come out and not only lose this game, but y'all lost by 10. And this was a convincing win. For a lot of this game, Miami was doing the damn thing. Y'all beat them in the first half. Y'all almost had 40 points in the second quarter. Y'all had 40 points combined in the second half. Y'all had a 40-point second half. You had a quarter in this game where you scored below 20 points. I just don't think that this Boston Celtics team should ever run into those problems. There should never be a quarter where you score 18 points. There should never be a quarter that happens. There should never really be a half, damn sure, against a team like the Miami Heat that, again, does not have their best player, where you score 40 points. You had 34 points in the second quarter, 6 points away from 40. And then the entire second half, you had 40 points collectively. 40 points. That's just the point that I'm making. If Miami came out there and they got hot from the 3 and Tyler Herro hit a game-winning 3, hey, tip your cap off to him, tell him to do it again. But it's just the fact that they came out here. Not only did they dominate from 3, but they just controlled this game. And they should just not be a team that controls you in any way, shape, or form. This should be a team that can only beat you if somebody has some unconscious moment from distance and going off for 30 or anything like that. They had 3 guys with 20-plus points, Tyler Herro, Bam, and then Caleb Martin. You know what I'm saying? So, again, don't want to make that big of a deal from it because I still think the Boston Celtics are going to win. I still think the Boston Celtics should be fine. But I do think little things like this, I can't just gloss over anymore. I can't. And it goes for any team. Everything means something. Everything means something. Even if this is not a series that they're going to lose, the fact that they still have some fragile moments, the fact that they still have these guys on their team that are just obsessed with these sexy ass plays, which is some of my other problems that I had when I was rewatching this game. Jason Tatum, early in this game, he was perfect at the cup, but he has this thing where he just loves these tough shots. There was times where he's being guarded in the post by Duncan Robinson, and one time he settled for some tough fall away jump shot and he missed. And the play before, when he had Duncan Robinson on him in that same area, he went right around him and dunked the ball. So my mind is like that. Like, what's so bad about doing that? If Duncan Robinson can't stop you from getting to the rim, why not just go to the rim and dunk on him every time until they say we have to make sure Duncan Robinson can't guard you? Why bail him out with a fall away jump shot? You know what I mean? Like, what's the obsession with these threes? He went to Jason Tatum 2 of 6 from 3. Just step back threes. They do the zone. The first thing Tatum, not the first thing, but one of the things he did when they came out in that zone early, and it might have been their first possession against the zone. I just don't want to speak definite on it because I can't remember off the top of my brain. And he just chucked up a long ass 3, and it's just like, why not work these dudes a little bit more? When I look at the Miami Heat team, just defenders, only Bam Adebayo can really do anything with you. Nobody else defending you can fuck with you. And I seen Hayward Highsmith possessions on Jason Tatum. I saw Duncan Robinson possessions on Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? I saw Tyler Herro on Jaylen Brown. You know what Jaylen Brown doing? Turnaround fades. Like, why? Why? Sometimes you got to just go and eat. It ain't always got to be sexy. Sometimes you got to show a team that, hey, I'm going to have 30 points and I'm only taking 2 or 3 threes this entire game. This entire game, I'm only taking 2 or 3 threes because I'm taking what the defense is giving me. And sometimes I feel like Boston does not play that way. They do not play in a way where we take what the defense gives us. They play in a way where they say, this is what we want to do. This is what we like to do. This feels more sexy. This feels more cool. This is more stylish. And this is what we're going to do. They come in predetermined. I'm taking fadeaway. Jaylen Brown, he made some of the fadeaways on Tyler Herro, but it's still, to me, that's a tougher shot. And you're damn near bailing out Tyler Herro. And in this game, it looks like Tyler Herro defended you well because you took fadeaway shots. I don't know how well Tyler Herro defends you if you just go at his ass. Just pop. I don't know. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how Miami played him a little bit in this game too, where it's like, we're going to take what they give us. If Porzingis is going to play this, I don't even know if drop middle cover. I don't even know what the hell that is. If he's going to do that and he's going to give Tyler Herro space to come off the screen and step right into a three-point shot, Tyler Herro, you come off and you take it. If they're going to have Al Horford in and he's going to come up a little bit higher than Porzingis, but he's still not matching you, go as far as you can and as deep as you can, pocket pass to Bam, Bam, you catch that, you look to score and be aggressive, right? They want to help a little bit too much because they think Tyler Herro is the only one that can make something happen. Derek White is playing a little bit too much over. Tyler, just swing that motherfucker right to Hayward Highsmith. Yeah, Hayward Highsmith ain't gonna come out and have no 20-point game, but I'll tell you what, the 3 threes that Hayward Highsmith hit, they were big. They were big. One of them or two of them was in the fourth quarter. Extremely, extremely big shots. That's what I'm looking at. Duncan, DeLon Wright. That was another thing. DeLon Wright went 1 of 3 for 3. The 3 that I remember him hitting, Drew Holiday closing out like it's fucking JJ Redick. Just undisciplined, didn't communicate, very lackadaisical, very calm, very cool, very nonchalant. And I think sometimes this is something that the Celtics get caught into because it's from the top. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can sometimes be two cool-ass, nonchalant dudes, right? And I think it's a trickle-down effect to where sometimes you have these games where you should damn well, we all know you should beat the hell out of the Miami Heat. You should be up 2-0. You should be going to Miami, and you should be going to close this series out and moving on to your next opponent and being the most dominant and best team that's in the NBA, right? If the Nuggets can do what they're doing to the full, healthy Lakers, and I know Jared Vanderbilt, Christian, whatever, but they have LeBron and AD and D'Lo and Reeves and whatever. If the Nuggets can do what they're doing to the Lakers, you should be able to do what you do that to the Heat. I'm just keeping it a buck. And granted, the Lakers ain't got no air exposure, but the Heat ain't got no damn LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the situation. They just got to come out and be that team that they've shown the rest of the league that they can be for 82 games. And they got to stay locked in. Kristaps Porzingis, 1 of 9, all 4 from 3. This is not what they signed you to be. And granted, you're going to have games where you're not knocking down shots. But again, another thing, when we just seen players that got matched or switched on to him and he was not able to take advantage because they got a little aggressive. You got possession with Tyler Herro's on you and Tyler Herro just being feisty. And that was enough to make Porzingis just say, I'm going to just shoot over him. No. Put that chest, that shoulder down, get into that chest, and make him have to really pay. Make him work. You know what I mean? And Miami did a really good job. Gap defense. Porzingis was seeing things. I'm sure he felt like if the moment he put the ball down twice and put his shoulder in there, somebody swarming in or coming in, then be a good passer. Be a smart player. You're 7'3". So the moment you see somebody coming, you put that bitch up here and you dump it out there, and now you got 4 guys around you that can knock down threes. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see the Celtics come out, and I want to see them punch. I want to see them punch on the road, and I want to see them be dominant. I need them to convince me that they are who they showed me that they are in the regular season. And I thought they were head and shoulders above the rest of the NBA. And it's time to be that team because they're going to have to be that team in order to win the championship. They can't be Game 2 Boston and go far in the playoffs. They might get past Miami without Jimmy Butler, but they're not going to go and win a championship by playing the way that they played in Game 2. They have to come in every single game and play like the best team in the NBA. You cannot, that's what comes with that. When you solidify yourself as the best player in the NBA, you have to always play like the best player in the NBA. You can't then say, "Oh, today I want to play like the 20th best player." No, 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 no. That's what comes with it. That's the reality of being the best. The best has to always be the best. Floyd Mayweather always had to get in that ring and be the undefeated Floyd Mayweather. LeBron always has to be LeBron. The minute he's not, what's going on? Need that from the Boston Celtics. Switching gears real quick. We 30 minutes into it. Think that's enough time to spend on Boston. Every time I come here, I'm gonna say I'm gonna make a video that's not that long. I lie to myself. Still 30 minutes. I don't really have much to say about the Pelicans game. Just because, like I said, I wanted this. I needed this, actually. I needed this from OKC. A win is a win. But like I said it when I talked about Miami and Boston, to me, when we get to this part of the season, everything means something. Even when you win games, everything means something. Because you're not just playing a team. This is all on display. So when you have a struggle or in a game one and you let Valanciunas do what he did to you, the team that you're going to play in the next round, they looked at that. The teams know, we probably going to play OKC next round. If we win this series or at some point we might have to run into OKC, they're seeing that. They jotting that down casually. They're not focused on y'all yet. Y'all not in the inner scope yet. Y'all not zoomed in yet. They just not jotting that down. And then once they start to have to face you and they know that they're about to play you and they're making that game plan, they still have these notes. We remember this, we remember that, we saw that. Everything means something. And you don't want to show any vulnerabilities when you're that top dog. You want to come out, you want to handle business, you want to do it. They did that in game 2. They responded. I mean, anytime you allow a team like OKC to really shoot almost 50% from 3, you're just going to have a tough time to compete with them. And even the advantage that the Pelicans were supposed to have was the glass. OKC won that battle. You know what I mean? They out-rebounded them. I feel like Lou Dort really came out and set the tone on Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram took 10 shots, y'all. 10 shots. Brandon Ingram took 10 shots. You can't do anything but give love and credit to Lou Dort. That's the Lou chamber. Immovable force, clamps, all of that, fast feet, whatever you want to call it. And not only was he doing that, early on he was being aggressive and looking for a shot. He shot some threes. He made a couple. He took a mid-range shot that he missed. But with just this energy of being aggressive. We're here to hit and bite first. And I think that's how OKC has to play for the rest of the series. We're the better team. We're the best team and in the West. And we can go out and we can punch first. Don't wait to be hit first. That's what Boston did. Boston got hit and was like, oh, shit, damn. It kind of sting a little bit. No, hit them first. You are the best team. You are the better team. You're at home. Be the aggressor. You can afford to make mistakes because you're the better team. They're the ones that have to play super scared, super poised, and super they have to play like that. You don't have to. Shake yours, Alexander. Yeah, get in your bag. 33, about damn time. Next game I want to see you have 40 because this is your domain. This is your territory. This is your shit. And I had loved to see that. Isaiah Joe, it just feels like he only had 8 points, but man, it felt like the threes that he hit, they came at the perfect time. They just always came at the right time. They always came when it was like a 12-point lead. His threes made a 15-point lead. I made it 18-point. It just came at the right time for me when they were really separating themselves because the Pelicans did try to fight at first. They really, really did. And it's unfortunate that they don't have Zion because this would have been a much better series. I still probably take OKC, but it'll give them a little bit of a better chance. The one thing I will say before we wrap up, because like I said, I don't have as much to say about this game and this as I did with the Celtics. I forgot how fun and how electric it is to have OKC play playoff basketball. The whiteout crowd. Just the colors that they have that pop off on the screen. Yesterday they wore the blue jerseys. It just all goes together, and it gives me all of those early vibes I remember. It's just something about the orange and the orange shoes, and like I said, the whiteout crowd. It's just I love their court. I love the ambiance, the brightness. It's something about having that on the playoff stage. And I remember the early versions of it with the young OKC teams. I remember Paul George and Russell Westbrook years, Russell Westbrook MVP season. It's just something about having it, and we hadn't had it for some years. And the last time we did really have it was the bubble or whatever, which didn't give you the same feel, obviously. But damn, it feels good to see OKC back. Even though I'm not somebody that's necessarily an OKC Thunder fan, but I love everything that they do. So I have no reason to root against them or hate them. But I just didn't realize how much we missed seeing them out there during the playoffs. So yeah, they handled business. Chet had an amazing game. J-Dub came with it. I love the energy he's been having with the crowd, getting this crowd involved. He's taking that responsibility onto himself. And again, another all-around effort, but it was also good to see Shea have one of those MVP games where he was virtually unstoppable. And when he got going, you can just see him take over this game slowly but surely, bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket. Oh my gosh. Layup here, mid-range there, and one here, foul here, a three there, three here, another three. Oh my gosh, these dudes ain't got no answer for Shea. They're up 2-0. Tonight we have a three-headed monster slate because I'm very interested to see how Orlando responds with their back against the wall going home. Obviously, Philadelphia and my Knicks, that's going to be a really, really good one. We have a chance to really put them away. If we go up 3-0, I would love to see what they do with Joel. Would you play him in a game 4? You know what I mean? Do you want to rest him? I don't know. And then we have the Lakers also with their back against the wall after having 2 really good first games where I think they had 2 second-half meltdowns and just really unfortunate circumstances, especially in that game 2. If they found a way to rebound and capitalize and get a win, I would be very impressed because after losing game 2 the way that you did, if you don't win that game, it's hard for me to imagine that the Lakers can win any game. You know, they lost that game more than the Nuggets won it. So we'll be back here tomorrow with some more updates. Hopefully we come back and my Knicks up 3-0. As always, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. This is the P with the Plug channel. Locking in all playoffs. Again, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. And as always, hit that like button for me. I'm out. Peace.